Hi there, this is Mojo Dallas, or Mojo DFW, or just Mike. Uh, this video is to talk about release 2 of my set of plugins or extensions to Sonic Pi, which I have called Hack-spi, with the spy being Sonic Pi. A little bit about me. I'm a retired, I was a senior technical fellow and Chief Information Technology Architect for a big company when I had a real job. My current hobbies are electronic music, programming, songwriting. I did a lot of game development in my spare time as well. And last of all, I am retired, so I have time to do this. Lucky to be able to go do this. I'm going to go talk about, again, Sonic Pi and some of the extensions I've written for Sonic Pi. So they are over on a given site. If we go look at this is my GitHub site. It's called Hack-spi. And as you can see in here, there's a number of folders that are different pieces of the software that I've developed. And my README gives you an idea of what I'm trying to do here. This is, I'm not a member of the core development team, so these really aren't part of the Sonic Pi project at all. They're really just things that I've developed that I'd like to share with people. So I welcome you to go ahead and check that out on my GitHub site. The 5 basic pieces of software I'm releasing with release 2 is a sound font software, which adds sound font instruments in Sonic Pi, with sound font being a way where you can store a number of instruments usually used in MIDI recording, but they're really samples that are very powerful and designed by sound font designers. This adds quite a bit of a capability to Sonic Pi, especially if you're trying to play more traditional songs using Sonic Pi, because you'll be able to play instruments that will be able to hold a sample for as long as you need it to in terms of a note. And I have a lot of stuff that talks about that in my documentation for sound font. I have the Midiot, and the Midiot plays in Sonic Pi complete MIDI songs, or just tracks from a MIDI song, or slices of a track. For example, just 4 bars. If you like a little bass pattern, you want to go ahead and play it in Sonic Pi. And it can use to play the music. It uses the sound font instruments I just talked about, or regular samples or synths that are in Sonic Pi as well. You can play your MIDI that you capture through that. MIDI through, which is there is a development being done by the core team, but this is a little one that I wrote myself because I wanted to play with it. It allows MIDI and controllers to go ahead and play inside of Sonic Pi, and you can play whatever synths, sound instruments, or sound font instruments, or samples are in Sonic Pi using your MIDI keyboard. SpiViz, which is kind of a one of the things that the development team had talked about, so I went ahead and did this pretty extensive prototype. And what it is I hooked OpenGL, which is a graphics language, hooked it into Sonic Pi, and you can control different types of graphics from Sonic Pi, so you can do your own music visualizations using Sonic Pi and SpiViz, and you'll see a number of videos on that. Get Clips, which is just a utility I wrote that allows you to go ahead and hit a hotkey, and it brings up a regular file dialog for you to go ahead and select from a library of clips you want to include in terms of different instruments, different instrument samples, things you've saved in the past. And I've got quite an extensive library that I built up myself that I also released as part of this project. So I'm sure you'll be able to use some of those, much like the samples that Sam put together out on his release page for Sonic Pi. But again, you can go ahead and get these and add to them. So those are the 5 major pieces, and this is the project. And if you look at the project again, the main pieces here, I've got the README here and some resources where you can get a hold of me and things. A changelog. This is my second release, so I talk about this is my basically better release. Version 1 was about a couple 3 months ago, and this is the next in the series, and releases a number of pieces of software. The other thing is there's an install on Windows. This only I only have a Windows machine, so I mean I've got a Raspberry Pi, but I don't really use it that much for Sonic Pi. So this is software I've built that I know runs on Windows. That's not to say that most of it won't run on Raspberry Pi or Mac. I just have not tested it. So this basically is an installation, and the installation is pretty easy. But anyway, this is the installation of how to install it. And once you get it downloaded to your PC, it's pretty much a execute a batch file and everything goes and loads automatically. But you may have to do a little bit of work with it. The other parts of it, of course, is the folders are set up for each one of the major things that I worked on, where you can download the latest copy if you don't above and beyond the distribution that you'll get from by going to my Dropbox, which is all described in the install windows. The driver of the whole thing that makes this work is this software in the 5 extensions or plugins I've written work because of the way that Sonic Pi. When you're in Sonic Pi, let me go ahead and get into Sonic Pi. If you've noticed your Sonic Pi, one of the things is in the folder you have underneath your user is a .SonicPi, and one of the programs is one called init.ruby that comes with the initial installation of Sonic Pi. And what I've done is I've utilized that. It's executed first thing by Sonic Pi as it loads, and I put into that. If you look at this is how everything gets the plugins work. I basically have a piece of code. This is my code here that I put in init.rb, and it's copied into it when you install it from my site. Basically, what it does is it just spins through and says, "Hey, go look in this directory, the Sonic Pi directory. Go look in the plugins, and if there's anything in that plugins directory, any Ruby code, go ahead and include it." So using the require relative statement in Ruby, and so that includes that Ruby code, so it all works when you execute Sonic Pi, but it isn't in the core code itself. So this is why I used it to extend Sonic Pi without changing the core code. All right, so that's kind of my introduction. Go ahead and download it, and I got a little quick start guide here, also telling you how to do it. And the other thing, most important probably, is I got a wiki, and it's I think pretty good job where I go ahead and talk about quite a bit. How does it work, and then each one of the things are documented in terms of how does it work behind the scenes, how do you use it. Again, because I'm not in the main product, I don't have it integrated into the Sonic Pi itself, but pretty extensive documentation. So go check it out. Again, there's my GitHub Mojo D Hack-spi is where you can find this stuff. So go ahead and download and give it a whirl.